Good day. This is HJT Views on current affairs. The topic that I will be discussing today is the topic of is globalization dead with Russia Ukraine crisis and war that is going on. It is my personal opinion that the world of the last 40 years as we have known it from the 1980s to the 2020s is effectively coming to an end. The whole concept of globalization and that you could make your product somewhere else, you could transfer your product, you could transport your product, you could do some further finishing somewhere else, and you had open markets. I believe this globalized world with the Russia Ukraine crisis and with China getting increasingly more assertive in its foreign policy and with its neighbors and with the fact that it is conveniently just taking over pieces of land of other countries after trapping them into a debt trap. Is globalization dead? And if it is dead, how does that impact us as India? And how does that impact us as Indians? This is the topic that I would like to discuss today. In my view, yes, globalization, global entities such as IMF, global entities such as World Bank, global entities such as United Nations are all on their last legs. In the next decade, all these, which are a feature of the 1940s and 50s, will just end. They will come down under their own weight of the bureaucracy that they have built in, of the ideas that they have built in, of not being understanding of national problems, of attempting to push their own agenda at the cost of the agenda of other countries and their policies, economic policies, political freedoms, etc. That is going to come to an end. So, what's going to replace this? In my view, what is going to replace this is blocks of countries. We we may be moving to a we may be moving towards a 1984 type of world. That world was of three blocks, two blocks always ganging up together against a third block. And somewhere or the other, the peace was kept, but the people were under a total clampdown, and their actions and words were always under some sort of review. Big Brother was ruling over one of the blocks, and whatever you did, Big Brother always knew. Are we heading, at least one of the blocks, are we heading towards this sort of a situation? I don't know. But I personally feel yes, I strongly feel that we are moving into a situation where at least one of the blocks, the Russia China bloc, will be again the 1984 novel Big Brother government. The other thing that I feel and feel very strongly is that India will need to keep itself completely and absolutely out from these political maneuvers. Fortunately, as a nation, we are blessed with land. We are blessed with reasonable intelligence of people. We are now blessed with a reasonable level of education. I believe that this globalized entity, that is this entity that is going to come about post globalization, the world post globalization, India will perhaps be better off than worse off. What progress a nation makes is a matter of its landmass, is a matter of its number of people, is a matter of its productivity, is a matter of it having the necessary minerals, is a matter of it being able to grow enough food for itself to feed its people. I think in all these matters, India is on a comfortable wicket, and therefore, without wanting to sound too optimistic, I believe that if India were to focus its application of whatever it is doing towards its own people and forget what has to happen with the outside world. Of course, there will be imports, of course, there will be exports, of course, people will move in and out, but your domestic demand should be strong to keep yourself afloat. It is when the domestic demand is weak and you are producing for others that we have a problem. So far as our IT industry is concerned, it will have to start looking at giving solutions to problems that are Indian problems, not solutions to problems that are US problems, that are Europe problems, or what, or that are Russian problems, or East European problems, or what it is. If we do that, and with the right mixture of looking well within, but keeping an eye outside, even for what is available as outside India opportunities, I believe that the world that is going to come about, what I would call the non globalized world, India as a nation can do much better than what it had done earlier. This is not an opportunity, or this is not a time for us to be nervous. This is a time for us to grab the opportunity and see whether we can pull the percentage of people who are still below a certain minimum reasonable standard of living, pull them up. I believe we can do that. And if we can do that, and not if, we need to do that because the world is changing. It is changing in front of our eyes, and nations will need to become more dependent on themselves and dependent on blocks, which is their neighbors. We know for a fact that so far as neighbors are concerned, we have a problem. So we will need to look within ourselves to see what we can do. That ends my talk of today. I hope you like it. If you liked it, please share it with your friends, acquaintances, relatives, colleagues. addresses, etc. Till we meet again. Bye. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra, Jai Mumbai. Have a great day.